welcome and good evening. It's great that you could all join us again. And this is our latest webinar, which is all about the recession, and it's about how strategies in property that you can implement should the recession hit that can help you to continue growing your property portfolio and making a profit. On screen is our company details. So if you're not aware, we are the Property Investors Coaching Academy. And Peter is the founder and also the key mentor and trainer at the company. And we've got his details on screen now, so his email, his number, our website as well. So if you ever need any more information about us, please do have a look on there. And likewise, if you have any individual questions, just please drop Peter an email or a quick telephone call. If you could go to the next slide, Peter, that'd be great. As always, we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions throughout, just please put them in the chat box. I'll keep an eye on them, and then we can at least do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. So about PICA. So PICA was established in 2011, and we offer an exciting range of 14 property investment strategies that help you build a successful and enjoyable career in property investment. And today we'll be covering another key one of those 14 strategies today. And a lot of our webinars cover the different strategies. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, these are recorded, so we'll upload them to our website. So if you did happen to miss one, you can always go back and rewatch them. And I know how much you love hearing Peter and I talk, so you can just go back and listen through for your enjoyment. And ultimately, our aim is to help support you, regardless of your prior knowledge or experience, and get you started in property investment. And ultimately, to grow your portfolio, increase profits, and enjoy the exciting journey of property investing, because that's so important. It's actually enjoying what you do. And I think that's what COVID kind of showed us, really. There's one thing about kind of money and job titles, but actually it's having a job that you get fulfilled in, that you enjoy. So we're very keen to highlight that. And our services include training courses. So we do a lot of one-day training courses. I know we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks' time. We do personal mentoring, so one-to-one programs to help you in your journey. And we do free webinars like tonight and blog posts, which are all available on our website. So without further ado, I'd like to pass over to Peter for the presentation.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Great to see you back again. Some old faces that I know, some new faces as well, which is always interesting. All right. We're talking about the recession, and there's some people out there who think that there isn't going to be a recession. They think it's going to swerve past us, and it's going to keep us. It's not going to bother us at all. But I'm convinced there is going to be a recession, and the two big factors that made me think that is the price of fuel, oil, and the price of food. Now I can go back. I'm old enough to think back to the big recession, the world recession of 1987 and Black Monday, and that was a huge recession, and that just went overnight when the bank went down. But the lead up to that was exactly the same thing as we've got now. It was rising fuel prices around the world and rising food prices, and that resulted in with financial problems down the line rolling up one after the other, and ultimately forced a recession. And they often are the cause of a recession. But don't think that because the economy is booming that there can't be a recession. It doesn't make any difference what the economy is doing. Recessions come and recessions go, and they're cyclical, and they're always going to come. The good news is you can make a lot of money out of the recessions, and I learned that out of the big recession out of 1987. And I had been at the beginning of 1987. I was learning in those days to invest on the stock market, and I was doing a course by mail in those days, because we didn't have the internet or anything, to invest in the stock market. And I was doing well. I bought a few shares and this, that, and the other, and eventually, through one means or another, I came across a company called Enterprise Oil. And they were part of a group of 5 companies who were prospecting for oil in the North Sea. And I noticed one day in the Financial Times that they'd bought out one of the other 5. I can't remember who the other 4 is. 4 of them. but they bought out one of the other 4. So now they had 2/5. They finally bought out everybody else and became the sole owner of these fields that they were in. But when they bought out 2 others, I thought they know something that the others don't know, and I invested about $5,000 in them at that time, which is a lot of money back in 1987. But I invested $5,000 in them. Well, the story with Enterprise Oil was that they found oil, and it was a huge field. And they give the yield in millions of barrels, and it was far higher than anybody was ever expecting. And the price went through the roof, went right up through the roof. And so I sold, and I made a lot of money out of that. And of course, what happens then is that people sell, as I did. The price drops again, so I bought back in. I bought another £5,000 worth. Well, a couple of weeks after that, they revised their estimate of the oil yield, and it was about 100% higher than they thought in the first place. So you can imagine what happened to the share price of Enterprise there. It went through the roof again, and I sold out and bought back in again, but then I kept in there. And what I was doing thereafter with Enterprise Oil was day trading. So I had a building company at the time, and I had a porter cabin, which was my office on the site, and had a TV in there with this I can't remember what they call it now. They used to have this kind of text that used to come up, teletext or something, used to come up with the share prices. And I was watching that, and maybe about 3 times a week, the share price would be where I wanted it to be, and I would sell about £100,000 worth of shares in Enterprise Oil. Now, I didn't have £100,000 worth of shares, but in those days you could do that. So I sold £100,000 worth of shares at maybe, say, 9:15, 9:30 in the morning, and then by 10 o'clock I would buy them back and keep the difference in price, because the price would go up. And I never lost, not a single one day trading did I ever lose on Enterprise Oil. And my average takings then was £4,000 a day, which was not bad before tea break on a working day, was it? Especially when I knew my guys on the website, on the building site then were making about 20 quid a day, and I just made £4,000 in half an hour. So I didn't tell them that. But that is what the recession could do. But also, during that recession, on the Black Monday, on the Tuesday and the Wednesday, the share price of some companies was worth less than the cash they had in the bank. How can that happen? You could pick these companies up and forget all the other assets. You were making money because the cash they had was more than you were paying for the business. It was crazy. There was so much money going around. But at the same time, people in New York were jumping off the tower blocks and everything else. It was crazy. That's I didn't at the time I was in property, but not I didn't do any trading through that recession because I didn't know how to. I didn't know anything about property trading in the recession. But the following two major ones that I've invested in, I have. The best one being the last one of 2009, was it? 2008, 2009. And I got into that by accident because that was a strange recession there. Because again, that was the banks, that was a financial thing. And what happened was that the banks in this country stopped giving mortgages. You couldn't get it. The only way you could get a mortgage was if you could prove you didn't need one. In which case you didn't need one, you weren't going to get one. But you couldn't sell a property, and you couldn't buy a property, and it was hectic. And the market was flooded with low market value properties that nobody could buy. And of course, the investors who had bought in the hectic days of 2002, 2003, 2001, 2000, they bought on an interest only for 10 years or so. Now they're coming to the end of their mortgage period, and they had a problem because they didn't have the money. They couldn't pay off the mortgage because they got it interest only. And they got a 100% mortgage or 125% mortgage, which the banks were giving out in the first place, and they couldn't service those mortgages, and they were going bust. And I was going to PIN meetings, and people crying into their Red Bulls and going bust all over the place. But about that time, you may or may not remember that I discovered lease options. And I discovered Lease Option in 2010, kind of in the middle of the recession. It was only at the beginning of 2011 that I'd learned enough about them, because before that, nobody was doing them in this country. In 2010, 2011, nobody in the country knew what a lease option was, that I'm aware of, and nobody was doing them. And I found out about them through reading a book by Donald Trump. I finally managed to get a contract written, and that was a big problem because we couldn't find a solicitor to write one because nobody knew what a contract was. Finally got one and spent a lot of time trying to get them, trying to get a deal done, and couldn't do it. Finally revamped everything I was doing. And at the beginning of 2011, I hit the road again, and in the next 7 months, I did 48 lease option deals. And this was still the time when you couldn't buy a property, right in the recession, the after effects of the second half of the recession. And I made a ton of money on those deals. And of course, during the August, I wrote my book. And in the September, I started on the pin circuit talking about them. And that's now how people know about them. Lease options, of course, we're talking about. And so we're going to use lease options, but in a different way. And we're going to use them in a way that I kind of use them in the last recession, but not to the best effect because it was too late. I got in there too late and I hadn't had time to prepare. Now, what I was talking about this recession is I'm wondering how many people are thinking about the recession. I'm thinking how they're going to face the recession, how they're going to make money, what are they going to do differently? Are they actually going to do anything, or are they just going to sit it out? Which would be crazy, because the recession really is the best kept secret in money making world, if you know what you're doing. So I'm going to show you what I learned in the last recession, but was too late to implement because it finished before we could get going, but which I'm certainly going to implement in this one. And this is what you need to do. Now, I'm going to go into lease options a little bit. This isn't a webinar about lease options. I'm sure everybody knows what they are and how they work, but we've got some new people in, and I don't know if they do. So I'm just going to go over lease options and what they are, and then we're going to go on to the strategy. I want you to know that lease options really are the closest thing to free money. And if you're not using lease options and you're in property investment, you want your head looking at. I'll tell you straight, you are losing so much money. Don't even think about going out and buying it, and don't even bother talking about rent to rents and that kind of nonsense. You lose so much money doing that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about lease options. And again, I want to the ex-president now of the United States, Donald Trump, who says own nothing and control everything, and that's his mantra. And it made sense to me all these years ago. He built $1 billion plus portfolio of property empire in Manhattan, where the only way you can build is up. You can't build out. There's no land left. And he did it all using contracts, lease option contracts. He didn't buy anything. Still doesn't. He doesn't need to. Like he says, own nothing and control everything. And let me tell you something now. The whole point about being a property investor is not to own property. You should not be thinking about owning property. It's not about being a property investor. It's not about owning property. It's about making money. It's about making money. Property just happens to be the vehicle. And if you can make the money or more money without buying it, then why would you want to buy it? Unless you want, the cachet of saying, I own a house. Big deal. That doesn't make any money. So I was instrumental in bringing the options from the USA to the UK back in 2010. And we'll go through this quickly for you now. So a lease option is a contract that allows you to control a property for a period of time with controls and advantages not normally available with other contracts. Okay, that's important. Now, a lease option contract can last up to 20 years. Legally, you can't write a lease option contract for 21 years. It's not legal. They're only legal up to 20 years, from 1 day up to 20 years. And anything you like in between. And that period is known as the contract period. Now, when you sign a contract period, when you sign a lease option contract, money has to change hands or the contract isn't legal. So money must change hands. And you normally want to pay the minimum amount you can, which is £1 in the UK, $1 in the USA, $1 in Australia. You pay the minimum amount, £1 in the UK, which is where you get buy a house for £1 and all that kind of stuff. But you have to be careful saying that, because you're not actually, if you write books and articles saying how to buy a house for £1, you can get in trouble, like that Australian guy whose name escapes me, who used to come and speak over here for the last few years. He was doing these courses down there, taking money off people and writing books called How to Buy a Property for $1. And he got taken to court and he got fined $14 million US. So be careful what you say. You don't actually get you don't buy a property for £1. You get control of the property for £1. And that's the difference. Remember when you're talking about legal stuff, you're on a fine line. You have to be right. Now, interestingly, with this contract is that you and not the other party have a power of attorney over the contract. And this is immensely powerful. This is the most amazing part of the contract that you could ever believe. And it gives you all the rights, more rights than the owner of the property over the property. And this is an incredible part of the contract. And you can just imagine what having a power of attorney over the contract does for you. And interestingly, you can buy the property at today's value at any time, and that's called a purchase price. So when you first sign the contract, when you're first writing out the contract, the thing is that you have an option to buy the contract at any point. You don't have to buy it, but you do, and that's called the option. That's where the lease option comes in. You have an option to purchase a property, and you can set that price at the beginning of the contract, and that can be the value at that day, on the day of the signing it. Now, you know that on average, residential property prices double in value every between 7 and 10 years, depending where they are. So you can imagine if you've done a contract on a house worth £250,000, in 7 to 10 years, it's going to be worth £500,000, and that extra £250,000 equity increase is yours. And you can either buy the property yourself, or you can sell it on to a third person acting as an agent. You don't have to actually buy it if you don't want to. You can just sell it on, and take that equity out of it. Lease options are a fabulous tool. I wish I'd learned about them many years ago. I do. Now, any expenses like refurbs or anything like that, they can be added to the option price. So that means if you're going around looking at property and you're going to help the people out and you're going to do a lease option on it, and you can say, but it could do with new doors on the kitchen, a lick of paint throughout, and maybe use some new china in the bathroom, and that probably going to cost £3,000. I'll do it for you. It won't cost you anything. But that £3,000 can be added to the option price. Now, the interesting thing is that when you buy the property, eventually the option price is deducted from the purchase price, so you get that money back. So you're only actually loaning that money to the deal. You do get that money back. It's good. That's a great way to do it. You can sell the property to a third party at any time, and you have the same rights as if you own the property. This is fabulous. Now, my contracts, because they've been going now for 11 years, and we've updated them constantly. I've done close to 200 deals now. I've done 96 of my own, but I've helped many of my students with, so I've assisted with theirs. And all the time, myself and my solicitor, we've got together and we've adjusted the contracts where we felt, and if we felt that it was necessary to them. And we're always on top of the property. Now, I'm going to tell you something now. I've got pretty well all the contracts that other solicitors have written. There's not many out there, but I've got the ones that I know about. And I'm going to tell you that apart from one or two solicitors that we recommend to homeowners, the contracts out there are rubbish. The worst I've seen is 2 A4 sheets of paper, which was the lease option. There was no management part to it, and there was no power of attorney. It was absolute drivel, and some of them are so bad they're just not fit for purpose, and you'll get into serious trouble if you use them. So you're going to be very, very careful with what contracts you use, because you don't know what should be in them. And I'll tell you what, solicitors don't know unless they're involved in property, and even then most of them still don't know. They're just Googling it and trying to find out what should go in it and write one up. And some of them are just a complete mess. And a lot of them, most of them, have just got chunks copied straight from mine in there anyway, but not the important chunks either. So my contracts are special clauses, and one of them is the power to change the contract period. Now, obviously, from your point of view, the longer the contract period you've got, the better, because the more money you're going to make. But you're going to frighten off a potential homeowner if you say you want an 8 or 10-year deal, and they're thinking in 6 months, you'll frighten them away. So you don't have to do that. Just agree to say 6 months. It's not a problem, because once that contract is signed and through your power of attorney, you have the power to change that contract period for as long as you want, as many times as you want. So you can get your full 10 years if you afterwards, but don't put off the other party by insisting on a long contract period when there's no need to. Now, the thing about contracts is that they're binding on both parties, and that's the point of having it, of course. And the only way anybody could get out of a contract is if the other party defaulted on it. Well, of course, the other party isn't going to default on it, because then they know they're going to lose the contract. They're going to lose a lot of money. But in our contracts, that's us, we have a special get out clause, which allows us to cancel the contract with only 1 month's written notice. No other reason. We don't have to give a reason. We can just do that. But the other party doesn't have it. They can only get out if we default on our side of the contract. Now that's incredible, because especially, see, I remember when the interest rate at one time at the Bank of England was 19%. You can imagine what that did to the interest rates on mortgages. You just couldn't afford it. And if that happened now, and there's no reason it won't, don't believe it won't, it could. But if the interest rates went up like that, and you're paying people's mortgages, and the interest rate suddenly goes up, and you're losing money on the deal, you want to get out. You don't want to be stuck in there for another so many years. You want to get out. And our special get out clause allows you to do that. Now, I stress again that none of this stuff is hidden. We don't have small print in the contract. Everything, all the print, the whole entire way through is the same size. And all these are headed with big bold headings. They're not hidden anywhere. And still, solicitors don't see them. There you go. Now, on top of all that, we have a disclaimer, a very, very powerful disclaimer that makes a contract completely 100% watertight. I've seen other solicitors advise their clients that if they sign that contract, that disclaimer, they cannot get out of the contract, and they can't. So with all that, you're safe. Your deal is solid there. Now at this point, I've got to get something off my mind. It's a real problem for me. And you will hear lease options called PLOs or purchase lease options. There's no such thing. Whenever I go to PIN meetings, I was at one the other night, and they're talking about the prize they're giving out this month is a purchase lease option course. Can you believe that? And I say, Simon, there's no such thing. He got it right. He learned about options from me in the first place. He got the name wrong. He got mixed up, and he keeps calling them purchase lease options. Look, the purchase is involved with the option. It's an option to purchase. The lease option is where you lease the property through the lease, and the option is an option to purchase. You don't put purchase at the front. It's not purchase, lease, option to purchase, is it? It makes no sense. It makes no grammatical sense. It makes no practical sense. Please don't call them PLOs. Please don't call them purchase lease options. If you hear anybody else calling them those, tell them straight. Because I'll tell you what, if you go around calling them PLOs, and you'll get away with it with people who don't know. But when you start getting to people who do know, particularly if you get into commercial estate agents and you're doing commercial residential and you go to them, you'll get called out on that. Commercial estate agents, about 90% of all commercial deals now are done using lease options. They know what they are. Commercial estate agents are a different breed to residential estate agents. They know what lease options are. If you won't call them PLOs or purchase lease options, A, they'll know exactly where you learned about them, and B, they'll know you don't really know anything about them. So you'll get found out. So don't do it. Now I'm going to tell you something. I was at a PIN meeting. Well, I go to 2 or 3 a week. I've got 2 booked this week, 3 next week. I'll be at Oxford tomorrow night. But I was at a PIN meeting a few weeks ago, and there was a speaker there, and he just completed the mastermind, Simon's mastermind, and he's just on his first lease option, and he paid an option fee of £315,000, and he was bragging about it, and I was just dumbstruck. I thought, what is going on? This guy, what did he learn on this Simon's course? You don't pay £315,000 option fee, you pay £1. What does this guy know? I was gobsmacked, really. I mean, and that shows you that you might think because other people are charging far more money than I am to teach options that they think they must know them, must know more than I do. They don't. They don't know them. You don't pay £315,000 option fee. You pay £1. You pay the minimum you can, and that's just to make the contract legal. I don't know what he was thinking about. I don't know what he was doing. It just beggars belief to me. But that's what you get. £315,000 option fee. I still can't believe it. Crazy. So look, what group of homeowners are best for lease option deals? Well, you're looking for motivated sellers, but particularly those facing repossession. And of course, that's what you get. Lots of them during a recession. People are going to start losing jobs, even if they're not. With interest rates going up and all the rest of it, they're going to be losing the jobs. They can't afford the mortgages. People haven't saved. To cover the mortgage rises, and they're not going to be able to cover the mortgage costs, and they'll be facing repossession. That's a terrible thing, because quite often following repossession, you're then facing bankruptcy. And of course, after that, the family unit splits up, and there's all sorts of disasters going on. So repossession is not a good thing. Obviously, the homeowners don't like them for obvious reasons, but the banks don't like them. The banks hate repossessions. They don't want to those with a laissez-faire attitude. They will do anything to stop a recession, and you can bet that anybody who's being repossessed, that the banks are the very last resort there, and they've tried everything they can to save that property, because they even when they sell a house, they're selling in a recession. They don't get full value for it, but even if they do get a lump sum, that doesn't help the banks, because the way the banking system is set up with mortgages is that this small amount they get coming in every month makes them more money, strangely, than having a big lump sum come in, which is why they do mortgages, which is why they want lots of small bits coming in every month. That's how they make the money. So it costs them a lot of money. It costs them a lot of face. A lot of people. It's not good for banks to be repossessing people. They've got no choice. They're forced into the situation. But that's good for us, because this is what we can help the banks as well. Now, you've heard of OPM, right? Other people's money. I first discovered OPM in 1986 when I first bought my very first buy-to-let. I was talking to my solicitor, and he told me about a client of his who had money to invest, and I used this lady's money, and that's when I discovered OPM. I'd never heard about it before then. Other people's money. But of course, where lease options are concerned, OPM stands for other people's mortgages. And what we do is we basically piggyback somebody else's mortgage. Now, the cheapest money you're going to exchange for a property is always going to be a mortgage. The cheapest money you're going to ever exchange for a property is a mortgage. Doing rent to rent and paying somebody a high rent, a landlord a high rent, it's just crazy business. It is not the way. I mean, people want to learn it and they come to me, teach me rent to rent, and I will, but I always do it with a disclaimer. This is not the best way to do property, to get rent to rent. So we piggyback their mortgage. That's the cheapest money you'll ever pay for a property. And what we're doing there is we're using lease options to control the property. And that's fantastic. So remember this, a lease option deal is not an end in itself. It's just the beginning. The deal is just the beginning, because when you get the property, you can do all kinds of things. A lease option is a way of taking control of the property in order to apply many other strategies to maximize your profits. And you know, if you go into rent to rent, you've only got one strategy, and that's HMOs. You can't do anything else because you have to add value to the deal. And the only way you can do that is take an ordinary house and turn it into an HMO. And that costs you a lot of money. Rent to rents aren't cheap. They're certainly not free. But once you've got a property that you've got for virtually nothing, the options are tremendous. There's only a few of them here. You know, sandwich options, single lets, multi-let, tenant buys, installment contracts, delayed completions, assisted sales, refurbs, flips, foreign homes, commercial, residential. You know, and that's only a few of the strategies you can do once you get a property, and you've got the freedom to do it when you do the lease option, because lease options virtually cost you nothing, virtually nothing to get in the first place. So, like I was saying earlier, towards the end of the last recession, 2011, I personally did 48 deals in 7 months. Now, that was from a standing start. That was not knowing how to do it. It was not knowing really what they were and how they worked. I was finding out as I went along, and I still did 48 deals in 7 months. Some weeks I was doing 3 deals in a week. It was incredible, and I learned a lot. And that was when I knew, that's when I had a million light bulbs going zing, zing, zing. That's when I knew that the future in property lay in lease options. There's absolutely no question about it. There's no question about it. I was late getting into it, but that was just through circumstances of when I found out about them. But this time I'm going to make up for it. So, where to find the deals? I get people all the time. I speak to people at PIN meetings and say, yeah, but A, deals are hard to do. Lease options are hard to do. B, you can't do them in London. B, they're illegal in Scotland. All sorts of nonsense you never heard about. Before we came on here, about 5 o'clock tonight, I went on Rightmove and I put in different areas of London, different parts of London, and I went through and I found dozens of deals. Yes, some of them were in the mega millions, but some of them weren't. Some in the hundreds of thousands. And these properties have been empty for some years. There are deals everywhere, believe me. So, listen, London's home to 20 million people. If you can't find a deal in 20 million residents, there's something wrong with you, not with London. There are deals galore in London. You'll hear people say they're illegal in Scotland. They're not illegal in Scotland, completely legal. They're not difficult to do. They're very, very easy to do. Very easy. If you can buy a PC, you can do a lease option deal. I'm telling you. So where do you find the deals? Easy. Estate agents. You want to find ducks, you go to a duck pond. You want property deals, you go to an estate agent. And what we do on our courses is we find deals live. We go on live on air and we find deals live. And to prove that these are things that I've set up beforehand, I invite the people on the course to tell me what town or city they want me to look in. So recently I've had Bradford, I've had Preston, I've had Eastbourne, and all kinds of places. And we've gone straight there, and within 5 minutes I've found deals worth a lot of money. And that's what we do. So on the course we find the deals. Now where we find these deals, I don't keep them. Anybody who's on the course who wants these deals, it's first come, first served. They're your deals. You take them. You grab the deals. You out and do them. And we do a lot of deals. So we find a lot of deals for you. They're there, right there. I promise you. I'll show you on the course. We show you how to do them. They're very easy to get. Once you know how to do it, and we train you in the negotiation pattern, you'll get it. Now the thing is that once you've done one deal with an estate agent successfully, they will send you their pre-repossessions and they're what I call sticky properties, the ones that have been hanging around for a long time that they can't sell. You see, in sales, and everybody's in sales their whole life, whether you understand it or not, you're selling. But in sales, it's important to give the other person what they need. Not what they want, but what they need. And not what you think they should have, but what they need. And they will always tell you what they want. Your job is to find out not what they want, but what they need, and find that out. And the way to do that is to ask them. Just ask them. So, Mr. Homeowner, what exactly do you need from this property? What will happen if you go another 6 months without a viewing, as you've just got, and they'll tell you straight. And when you're facing repossessions like this, and I ask that question, and close to 100 or over 100 times I've asked that question, you'll be surprised the number of times I get the same answer back, probably 98% of the time. The same answer I get is I just want to get rid of this damn mortgage off my back. That's all they want. They just want to get rid of the mortgage. It's killing them. To which I say, well, if I can do that for you, do we have a deal? And they say, oh, yes, yes, yes. To which I say, I'll call you back tomorrow. String it out a little bit. It's all part of the negotiation process. But now you know they want the mortgage off the back. You can do that for them. You know you've got a deal coming up here. And the only thing that might stop this one is if they've got big secured loans against the property or something like that. Or the big one is divorcing couples. That's a real major problem. Divorcing couples. Trying to get the two together to sign the contracts. Impossible. So once you've done a deal successfully with one estate agent, I used to get 2 or 3 or 4 sometimes emails a week from them saying another deal, contact these people. It was crazy. That's how I did so many, and that's how you can do it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to teach you how to do these deals. We've got a course coming up, and on the course we're going to show you how to get a deal. How to get a deal, that's it. We're going to show you the easy way to get a lease option deal. Now, what you're going to do then is you're going to build on that, because the recession isn't about going off and doing one-off deals, a deal here, a deal there, a lease option deal. No, that's no different to any time. You can do that anytime. Remember, you don't have to wait for a recession to do a lease option deal. You can do them anytime. In the boom times as well, people move house, people motivate themselves for lots of reasons. Let me tell you something straight now. If you go into property deals thinking that the only motivating factor is money, you're going to lose far more deals than you ever do. It's not always about money. There are other reasons people are moving. Death in the family, sickness, they've got a new job, they've got to be near the kids, all kinds of reasons. People want to move quickly. It's not always about money. But if you get fixated on money and you go into these deals thinking, oh, it's all it's all about money, you'll lose deals because you're not giving them what they want, what they need. What they need is a quick end to this so that they can get on with their life. And if you can't do that because you're focused on money, you lose the deal. So once you've got that first deal under your belt, you're going to now to build your business. And you need to have a good business name, and you need to have a professional looking website. And you're going to come out on the wide web as a professional person helping people stop repossessions. That's the whole thing. This is what the name of the game for you is going to be, not as a property investor, but as somebody helping to stop repossessions. And there's going to be a lot in a repossession. Okay, now what you do, when you get your first ones going, you need to get permission to use the homeowner's name as a reference. Okay, make sure. So this is why you have to do everything properly, although I'm a great believer in that anyway. Don't screw people in business. They'll come back and bite you in the backside. Be straight. Providing you've done everything right and proper and you've held that person, they will be happy for you to use their details as a reference. So once you've got this, and hopefully a number of them, anything up to half a dozen ideally, and on your website, then you contact solicitors and debt help agencies like the Citizens Advice Bureau. Now, these people, especially CIB, they can't help people directly with, to stop a repossession, but they can point them in the direction of people who can. Now, provided you can prove to solicitors and the debt help agencies that you can and are helping people to stop repossessions, and they've looked into you and you're not doing anything naughty, then they will tentatively refer one person. If you can do a good deal there, even if it costs you money, it doesn't matter, just get a deal done, then you're going to start more and more people coming from you. Now, once you're building up a record of solicitors and debt help agencies sending you their problem contacts, their problem clients, and you helping them, then you can approach the banks. Now imagine you calling or contacting, let's say HMBC, and you say, you explain who you are and what you're doing. You say, I'd like you to send me your pending repossessions and let me sort them out for you. And of course they're going to say, well, who are you? What do you know? You can say, well, do you remember this person? You give them the address. You might have 2 or 3 people who've had mortgages with HMBC. These were, or still are, clients of yours. you were suing them for repossession over the last 6 months or whenever it was. And guess what? All of a sudden, their arrears were paid off and they started paying the mortgage, and you're happy and they're happy. And guess what? That's because I did it. That's how I know these people, because they give me permission to use their names to tell you about it. Now, if I hadn't have stepped in and helped them, you'd have gone through 3 more possessions that you don't want to do. And I can help you do and stop a lot more. I can't guarantee to do all of them, obviously, because we don't know the details of all of them, but we can look at all of them and we can help you to stop the repossession. Now, you know, Mr. Bank Manager, that what you want is to stop the repossessions, because that's how you make the money. That's how you don't get the bad press. That's how you get the good press. And that's you're a happy bank. The homeowners are happy homeowners, and we're happy people. It's a win-win-win situation. Imagine that. Now you can imagine the scale of this. Now imagine one bank will send you one client and you sort that problem out for them. Now they're going to start slowly sending you more and more. Before long, you're overwhelmed. You can't do this at home on your laptop. You need offices, you need staff. Even if it's remote staff in the Philippines, you need staff to help you with this, because it's bigger than you can do on your own. You certainly can't go around and travel the country visiting all the properties. You need help with this. This is a big business. And I hope you're beginning to see the idea of this now. We're not talking doing a one-off deal here or a lease option deal there, and God forbid rent to rent, but you can see the scale of this. And we need a recession to get that big. And there's a recession coming. You believe it or not, there's a recession coming. It might be a month, it might be 3 months, it might be 6 months, but there's one coming. My old mate Vlad over there, Mad Vlad, he's going to make sure of it. He doesn't realize how much money he's going to make me. Not as much as he's got, but I'm working on it. So this is a golden opportunity. They don't come along. You get a recession once every 10 years. And this is a golden opportunity. If you miss this, you're going to be sitting around thinking, geez, what if? Because you'll be going to PIN meetings, you'll be seeing the people who cleaned up, and you'll be hearing about it. And you'll be hearing about me, because I'll make sure you hear about me. I'm going to rub it. You're going to know. And you'll be saying, God, what did I miss? Why didn't I get going on it? It's a golden opportunity. You don't want to miss this. This isn't just property investment. This isn't buying a property and waiting for the equity to increase and getting a remortgage and taking the equity out. That's old. The old way of doing it. Nobody does that anymore. It's crazy. This is a golden opportunity to get into property if you're not into it, but if you're in it, to take a chance, to take hold of this opportunity and turn it to your advantage. And I think everybody can see that now. You've just, you'd be crazy to miss this. Like I say, if you don't do it, what are you going to do? What you can't do with this is wait. You don't have time. You don't know when it's going to hit. You can't wait and then start doing it, because you'll miss the boat. You might get a few deals, but they'll be the tail end of the recession, like the last recession when I started. You need to be ready, for when it hits. Now, we're hosting a one-day online training course specifically for this strategy. It's on Saturday, 30th of July, 10 o'clock. Price is $497, same as all our courses, and you get all the contracts and you get all the paperwork, and we go through those with you so you know how they work. Now, this is going to set you up. This isn't just lease options. Lease options are incidental to the main strategy here, which is avoiding repossession, stopping repossession. Right now, what we'll do on the course, we'll talk about lease options because we have to, but we're going to talk more than that. We're going to talk about what kind of website you need, what kind of name you need, because certain words you can't use when you're building a website in property investment. You can't use the word investment for a start, because you'll open a can of worms with the banks. There's certain things you need to know. We'll show you the kind of website you need to build, and we'll show you how you can get help doing that. We'll help you with all the contracts, all the paperwork you need to do the deals, and you know they're the right contracts and the right paperwork. We'll show you about the negotiation. We'll get you so that you can negotiate these deals and get them, and so that you get A, the estate agents on your side, and B, you get the homeowners on your side, which is what you want. And there's easy ways to do that. So there, if you copy that down there in blue, That'll take you to a page on our website where you can book your seat on our course. Now, for some reason you make a mistake in that, or you can't do it, just email me and I'll give you the link. But this is I can't stress what a great opportunity this is, and there's no other aspect of property at the moment that's going to make you more money. Because it doesn't matter what the strategy is. I mean, my favourite big strategy at the moment is commercial to residential, but disabled accommodation. That's massive, and there's so much money in that. But you've still got to get the property in the first place. And the way to do that, the cheapest, quickest way to do that is with lease options. You know, it doesn't matter. You've got to be doing options. You're crazy if you're not. So that's that. I hope you find that interesting. It really is. It's a golden opportunity, and if anybody's out thinking, "Well, it's not for me," well, you need to get out of property altogether, because if you can't see what's right before your eyes, I ain't gonna help you, frankly. So we're going to have a Q&A session now. So I don't know, have we got any questions, John? I haven't been looking there.
I'll just unmute myself. Just firstly, thank you, Peter, for presenting tonight and share some great information there. And I hope there's something that everybody can take away tonight and really found the content of value. And just putting my marketing hat on a moment, with regards to the recession and like the severity of it, it'd be interesting with the debate that's going on at the moment with who's going to be the next Conservative leader, and therefore what policies they might put in place. And there's a very well-known marketing tool called Pestle, and Pestle stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. So what you're meant to do, either as individuals, you can do it as individuals or as a business, is to look at each of those different topics and to see what changes could happen that could affect us. So a key one at the moment, of course, is political. So if we get a new prime minister in place, could they put in new policies, and then could that affect the severity of a recession that's coming? So I thought that was quite appropriate, and I'll put that in the chat box, guys, just if that's of interest to you. But going back to the subject now, so Q&A session. I think we have got a couple of questions, Peter. And the first one we got was from Paul, and it is a good question, so thanks to Paul. Peter, so how easy is it to change the mortgage to interest only if the property has recently been bought on a repayment mortgage? So how easy is it to change the mortgage to interest only?
Yeah, it's fairly simple. It's up to the banks, of course. My question is, why on earth would you want to do that? The whole idea, if you've got a mortgage, the last thing you should ever think of doing is remortgaging for a start, because you need to get that ratio down. You need to get your debt level down with mortgages. The problem is that if you keep taking out mortgages and then remortgaging, especially selling short, selling early, you're very, very quickly going to become unmortgageable. I can't see a good reason for interest only free mortgages, frankly, because at the end of the mortgage term, you've got to basically sell the property off to pay for it, unless you've been saving your money, and people just don't. So yes, you can do it, but I wouldn't advise it.
And if we could just throw something in there, Peter. So if that interest only is much cheaper than repayment mortgage,
Sorry, say so.
Put that to you, Peter. So is there more profit in renting?
I don't recommend interest only mortgages. I've seen too many people go bust through having them. There can be an albatross around your neck. I do not recommend them. I can't see any proper reason for doing them. If you can't afford a mortgage payment, then the property's not for you anyway. So get out of it. But you're going to come crashing down especially if you've got a number of properties that are all on interest only. You'll get caught out, and that's very, very, very thin ice you're on there. I wouldn't do that. No, don't even think about interest only. Just get the best mortgage deal you can do. And at the moment, probably a 2 years of a fixed mortgage is probably a good idea. Three at a push, but I wouldn't go more than that. But that'll probably keep you quite safe for 2-3 years, and then look around after that. But no, don't do interest only. I don't recommend it.
Great stuff. So next question, Peter, is from Anil. Can your own limited company lease properties that are in your own personal name?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I take it from that you mean you've got a property in your name and you want to lease it to your own limited company. Is that right? I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. Then yeah, of course you can. But if you're smart, you'll do it using a lease option through an offshore company based in Gibraltar. And that way you don't pay any tax on it if you do it the right way. But that's another story. But yes, you can.
Okay, just got a question in regards to the training courses. So the courses that we deliver, they are tutor-led and they are online. So they're online via Zoom. So all you need is obviously an account with Zoom, of course, which is free. Peter delivers those courses himself. They are public courses, but we can also do one-to-one courses as well. So they're more tailored then to your needs and requirements. So hopefully that's answered it there. But again, if there's any further info you need about the courses, please do let us know. But I believe the course next Saturday is public course, isn't it, Peter?
Yeah, it's for anybody who wants to come along. I do like largish groups. I don't like groups too big, not too many people there, because then it gets very difficult to keep them together. But I do like 8 to 10 people on a course, and the idea for that is that people bounce ideas off each other and come up with questions that they wouldn't normally think about, if they were there on their own. I do courses for individuals, and they work very well. And of course, the good thing about doing it for an individual is they're over quicker. So you're not there all day. Then if there's a 10 or 12 there and they've all got questions that need answering, that takes a bit longer to do them. But that doesn't matter. All the information is there and it's good. The good news, of course, as well, is if we get more people there, then more people are coming up with areas where they're interested in looking at a deal. And normally they'll come up with an area that they're interested in, or they live in, or they've got friends or relatives in. And if they can find deals in that area, then they like that. Of course, we will come up with deals. We always come up with deals. I can find deals anywhere in 5 minutes. It's not a problem finding deals. But all the deals we come up with on a course, I don't keep. I don't keep any of them. They're all there, free and available for the course attendees to take. And you just grab whichever one you want, or all of them. It's entirely up to you. But you're only going to get one deal, and you're going to pay your course fee back many times over. In fact, you do one deal and you're going to pay a mentoring. If you're interested in mentoring, you pay your mentoring fee back, and you pay that back in 2 weeks just with one deal. So it makes sense.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Peter. And Sarda's asked when the next commercial to residential lease option and disabled living course are running. I've not actually got the course program on me at the moment, but we can send you those dates to you. Well, email. Unless, Peter, you've got them in front of you.
These courses are open, which means that when you book, we'll talk and we'll set a session for whenever it suits you. So if it's just me and you on a course, that's fine. That's what we'll do it, and we'll do it to suit you. So you don't have to wait until we set a date, because you might want to know. You might want the information now. There's no point in you waiting around. So if you want to book on a course, book on the course. I will know obviously straight away. I'll contact you. We'll sort it when it's convenient for you. I don't care when it is, weekend or a weekday. It's fine by me. And even if it's just you and me together, then we'll do that. We'll do the course.
There you go. Fantastic. A bespoke course date as well. That's come to the end of the questions currently in the chat box. If anyone else does have any questions, there's the opportunity to send them across, and we'll do our best to answer them. And just while we're waiting, I think, funny enough, Peter, I just found that Donald Trump book on our bookshelf, which I didn't appreciate we had, that you often refer to. So,
yeah, it's a good book and it's worth getting. It's called The Art of the Deal. You can get it on. It's still on Amazon. And if you want to, it's interesting because it'll give you an insight into what I saw in the book and what sparked me off. It'll also give you a bit of an insight into Donald Trump as well, which you may or may not want. But like him or loathe him, he's a brilliant businessman, and he's done some great deals. And it was that book that opened my eyes to lease options, and has opened lease options in this country. So I owe it to Donald Trump, and you do too if you do lease options. If you're not doing them, you want your backside kicking anyway. So there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. Yes, Paul, we do offer a variety of different discounts, you know, for kind of returning delegates. So we'll send that information to you about that.
So yeah, so there we go. Look, I'd love to see you guys coming on this course. It's going to be a good course, and you'll be able to go straight out after that, and you'll get stuck into this, into making real money. And you know, this is different. This is not just, you're in property because you want to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. Money makes the world go round. You can't live without it. But if you're going to make money, you want to make it the most in the most efficient way. And I don't think you're going to get a better way in a recession than this. Because whilst most other people losing their jobs, sitting around and moaning, you're going to be coining it. You're going to be coining it down there. And it would be shame and it would be stupid to miss it. It really would. Because, you know, 500 quid, what you're going to learn, you'll get that back within a week, because you'll get free deals sitting there. I'll give you the free deals on a day, which you can wrap up and sell within a week, and I'll even help you sell them. So it's, you know, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, really. You've got to do it. Not only that, that if anybody comes to my courses, they like my method and like what I'm doing, what I'm giving. If you then want to come on a mentoring program, then for the 12-month mentoring program, your courses are deducted from the cost of the mentoring. So how does that? So if you've done 3 courses, then you get 1,500 quid in effect, knocked off your mentoring program. So there you go. It's, you know, I'm a fair guy. I'm not doing this to rip people off and make money. It's to help you guys. You know, but I can only help those who want to be helped. So hopefully, you know, you get in there, and you know, I just want you guys to be successful. I don't want to be going around pin meters again and seeing people crying into the beer. I want to see you there and saying, you know what, you were right, it worked. I'm making so much money, and that's what I want. So thanks everybody. We got some good comments down there in the box. Thank you very much. You can always email me with your comments. That'd be fantastic for us. So that's great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, John. You've been a great help, as always. Couldn't do it on my own. It's, you know, it's always difficult to do on your own. So thank you very much, John. And thank everybody for showing up. Just get your finger out now and go and make some money. You know the potential out there. You've seen that now. There's nothing to stop you doing it. The only thing that'll stop you doing it is you. So don't let that happen. You go and do it. We'll get more.
Great stuff then, guys. Well, thanks again for joining us, and keep an eye out, because we'll be sending out some more content and future webinars as well. And try and stay cool as well in the heat, because I think tomorrow's going to peak, isn't it? So so be careful and look after yourselves, and see you all soon.
That's great.
Cheers. Bye. Bye-bye.